is here. Well, I guess it's always weird technically now with the play-in stuff and everything, but this is always feels like really day two. It's the Friday with 16 games today. We've got cutting nets here for you. Beho, Eric, Leo, and Gentry. We're going to roll through today's slate of games for Friday. The madness began yesterday. Craziness everywhere, and I'm sure we'll get some of that craziness back today. So we have a lot on the menu today, and we have a full crew, so we have to be quick and roll through everything. Let's do it, boys. Let's start with you, Beho, for the first game that we have on the menu today. We open up this morning with Loyola and Ohio State. This game was basically a pick'em, and the total in this game around 133. Loyola, Ohio State. Tell us which way you're leaning here, Beho.
Went back and forth a lot on this. Again, it's a pick'em game. Obviously, it's a coin flip. But what it boiled down to, Ohio State's defense, not great. Worse than Loyola's. I'm going to take Loyola here because, as Leo and I will always tell you, what is it, Leo?
Fuck you, Columbus.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Let's go to you, Gentry. What do you have in this game?
I mean, you're asking me to talk about a bunch of hobos and a Sister Jean. It's too early almost to get this filthy. But yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with the guys. Ohio State's a team that I kind of questioned, their seeding. Definitely, Loyola provides a lot of problems. They can shoot the ball, they can play different tempos and still be effective. So I kind of like Loyola out right here. But every time I've picked Loyola to win this year, they've not covered or lost. And, so buyer beware on that.
Eric, this Loyola team is pretty legit. They're number 7 in field goal percentage, number 22 in defensive efficiency, 16 in three-point percentage. They shoot 38%. They're 15 in just overall two-point field goal percentage. They come into this game 25-7, 12, 15, and 4 against the spread. Ohio State 19-11, 15 and 15 against the spread. What are your thoughts on this game?
I locked in. I'm on the same side as Brian. I locked in Loyola at a pick, and my thought process is their offense kind of hit a snag, and then as soon as Kennedy came back, it's been looking a lot better. They're 54th in three-point rate. Ohio State is really bad defending the three-pointer. Per shot quality, they're 14th nationally shooting the three-pointer. And also Ohio State, they limped to the end of the season. They lost 4 out of 5. They lost 3 games to non-tournament teams. Let's not forget about they lost to Nebraska. They have 3 guys, Young, Key, and Johnson, all game time decisions. That's 2 bigs. And this Loyola team, they have experience. They have a couple guys that have made the Final Four in the Sweet 16 from a couple years ago. No, Final Four a couple years ago, Sweet 16 last year. I just like Loyola because they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with Ohio State. I know they have an excellent scorer, Leo, with Liddell. I don't really have a lot of reasoning to lean the Ohio State way, though. Are you on that side at all?
Yeah, we're going to keep this real simple here. Ohio State isn't a free fall. Loyola, going to make your life miserable. Actually playing fairly well at the end of the season. Oh, and by the way, fuck Ohio State for trying to kill us. Give me Loyola for the win.
I forget about that each and every time. It's just the great reasoning of the F Ohio State. It's not bad reasoning whatsoever there. So game 1 today, Sister Jean is going to be on our TVs bright and early with Loyola and Ohio State. And the winner of that game, so the Loyola-Ohio State game is the 7-10, and that's over in the South. The winner of that game will move on to face the winner of Delaware versus Villanova in the 2:15 matchup. Leo, you're good. We don't hear anything over there. You're good, my man. You sound great. We got the 2:15 in the Midwest, which is Auburn versus Jacksonville. Let's start here with you, Gentry. SEC team with Auburn. Not the best of days for the SEC yesterday, but you think they'll get the job done here in the 2:15 spot?
Well, yesterday gives pause to everybody, I think, looking at 2 seeds. But I do feel like Auburn was kind of the best team in the SEC all season, even though they didn't win the conference tournament. Jacksonville State they had a weird circumstance how they even got in where, Bellarmine won their conference tournament but wasn't eligible, and it went to the regular season champ, the automatic bid. So, they didn't win their conference tournament, and they didn't even make the final. I'm kind of going to stick with Auburn here. I think their style of play dictates a big victory, against a team that may or may not deserve to be there.
Auburn as the heavy favorite. What do you think here, Leo?
All right, this is one of those games. I'm not very high on Auburn. Auburn should get through this game. However, it's one of those games, don't you guys kind of sort of feel like Jacksonville State is going to pull something out, and it's going to be that story of the team that shouldn't have been there actually almost pulls a massive upset?
I hope
I'm
so.
not very high on the way Auburn played in the SEC tournament. They didn't look all that great when they got bounced by A&M. I'm leaning a little bit here toward Jacksonville State because I just feel like this is a perfect spot for something stupid to happen and for them to cover.
Auburn only shot 30% from three in SEC play, Eric. That's something that, in tournament play, if you shoot 30% from three when other teams are making tough shots, you're going to be in some serious trouble. I don't know if Jacksonville has enough to get there, but I'm not really high on this Auburn team. Do you have a play in this game? 15.5, 138.
I really want to take Jacksonville State here. But at the end of the day, I passed. I really question Auburn's guard play. Jacksonville State's 5th in the nation in 3-point percentage, and Auburn's 206th in the nation in allowing open 3-pointers. I also had a little birdie tell me that Kessler and Smith are a little sick and not 100%. So that could really affect the offensive flow. I lean Jacksonville State. I did it in the contest. We're all in together, but it's just a pass for me.
And for Beho, finish us up here with the other SEC 2. Are they going to get the job done?
Yeah, I think Auburn's guards are too athletic here. Eric, you sent us the text about Smith and Kessler, and that is a little bit worrisome. I probably won't play this game on my own, but for the contest, I did take Auburn because I think their guards can get to the rack whenever they want in this game against Jacksonville. Again, Bruce Pearl, Ray Harper, they don't like each other. This rivalry goes way, way back 20-plus years. Bruce Pearl's going to try to beat the hell out of him if he can. And, Kentucky lost. Auburn's not losing, right?
I have a really tough time. I've told you, I've been very anti-Auburn. I'm going to try probably fade Auburn in their next game, but I have a tough time seeing them get beat here, mainly because of their defense. I just think defensively, they're just going to be a little bit too tough for a Jacksonville State team that offensively isn't anything incredible. They shoot a fine field goal percentage. They shoot fine percentages wise, but they're not even all that efficient, to be fair. Auburn, to me, is the lean here, but no real strong opinion in a play or anything on this one. Let's move along. Third game of the day today. It was funny because yesterday, a lot of the early games were all 1-point spread, 2-point spread, 3-point spread. And then today, we've got to pick them right off the bat. And then the next 4 are all 15 or above. Texas Tech, Montana State. Go Bobcats. Showed you that Bobcats hat I was rocking out there with the Montana State folks. But this is another situation, Eric, where the mid-major teams, when they play teams that are so good defensively, like Texas Tech is, I just don't think they're going to be quite ready or quite used to a defense and a pressure like what they're going to see with the Texas Tech team.
Yeah, just looking at Texas Tech, arguably the best defense in the tournament. This is going to be by far the best defense that Montana State has played. Texas Tech 15th in strength of schedule, Montana State 310th. So definitely a step up. Montana State's only shot, in my eyes, to stay inside the number. They're 9th in free throw rate. Texas Tech does foul a lot, but I made this comment yesterday. I really feel like all these Big 12 teams getting out of the Big 12 and not playing against the constant pack-it-in defense, we're really going to see these Big 12 offenses look a lot better. So I like Texas Tech here minus 15.
Gentry, what do you do in this Texas Tech Montana State game?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Eric said about, Big 12 teams getting out and playing, teams that don't play as frantic and frenetic as a lot of the Big 12 teams do on defense. But between Texas Tech and Iowa State, those two teams, they don't score. They're basically really athletic Big Ten teams, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But, that kind of leads me to want to take Montana State in the points here just because Texas Tech doesn't score a ton. And when you look at a double-digit spread, all it takes is one half of staying hot, and you get that cover. And I think Montana State's, got the shooters enough to do it.
So Montana State, the possible cover for Gentry. How about for you, Biho?
No, this is all Texas Tech laying the points here. Again, best defense in the country, probably. Montana State's metrics, they're pretty just poor at everything. I don't know that Montana State can score 15 points, honestly. So I'm going to take Texas Tech and lay the number.
Texas Tech with the big number, Leo. We've got Montana State comes into this game 27-7, 17-14-1 against the spread. You've got Texas Tech 25-9, 21-13 against the spread, and total in this game around 132.5. What are your thoughts on this one, Leo?
Yeah, definitely leaning toward the over in this one. I agree with everything that you guys said. I think that coming out of the Big 12, audio's off.
Now you're good.
It's better now.
You were bad for
All
a second. Yep.
All right, so I'm leaning toward the over in this one just because you got Montana State. They can score the ball a little bit. They're averaging 77 points per game. I know that they're going against Texas Tech, but Texas Tech does foul a lot. Montana State can definitely hit their free throws. But I think you guys absolutely nailed it when you said that Big 12 teams, when they come out of the Big 12, you're going to see the offense open up a little bit, and Montana State is really bad defensively. So I'm looking at the over 132.5 here.
Over 132.5 for Leo. That is Texas Tech versus Montana State. We bounce around to another big spread. As I mentioned this morning, we got a lot of the big numbers early on. Purdue minus 16.5 against Yale. Over under in this game 144. So what we do know about this Purdue team, they average 80.7 points per game, which is 7th in the country. They are 3rd in offensive efficiency, but they are 100th in defensive efficiency. How about this number? Only 2 high major teams since 2002 finished the season ranked 100th or below in adjusted defensive efficiency and even made the tournament. They're a 3 seed that people are picking to win the tournament with that awful of a defense. Zach Edey, 7'4". I mean, he's impossible to guard, but you only play about 20 minutes from like a size, fouling, like conditioning standpoint. This team is kind of fun to watch, but Eric, I have no clue really what to do with them overall. In like a one-game standpoint, I think Yale might be in some serious trouble trying to defend what Purdue has, but when you continue along and they have to go the next game or two, then I'm a little bit worried. But in this particular spot, it's probably a good chance for Purdue to beat up on an inferior team.
My worry with Purdue, and I'm going to be in the building, so if you guys see me there, come up, say hi. I'm actually going to
take your shirt off.
There you go.
You know what? I haven't had a sip of alcohol in a while, so if I do get a little loose, that's possible.
There you go.
In terms of Purdue, you just look at Purdue. They're really bad at defending the 3. They're bad at defending the pick and roll. I just don't feel they're going to be able to get that much stops. Yale's issue is turning over the ball. Purdue doesn't force that much turnover. And just to kind of piggyback what Gino was saying, you look at the history of the NCAA tournament, there's only been one team to reach the Elite 8 that was top 20 in scoring, bottom outside the top 150 in defense, and a top 6 seed in the region. And Purdue fits that metrics. Purdue is primed for an upset here, but I think it happens in the next round. I think Yale covers the number, though.
Let's get to you, Leo. Purdue, they're going to light it up here. Yale, I mean, Yale, they got in, so I'm not going to disregard what they did. But Princeton was like the much better Ivy League team just overall on the metrics. And for some reason, Yale just had their number. When they played all 3 times this year, Yale kept the games close. They beat them 2 out of 3. So that's what's interesting in conference play a lot of time, right? if Yale was in this game, or if Princeton was in this game or in the tournament, I would probably like Princeton more. I don't know if Yale has enough as a team to beat one of these teams. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I don't think they do. The only chance I see Yale having here is if they're going to slow it down. But the problem is for Yale is that Purdue has a 7'4" dude. You're not going to be able to score down low against that guy. So you're going to need to be able to shoot from three. Unfortunately, they only hit 1/3 of the threes. I know that Purdue loves to run up and down the court. I'm a little worried about taking an under for Purdue game, but I do like this number at 144. I'm playing the under.
Under 144 for Leo in Purdue versus Yale. What are you doing here, Gentry?
Yeah, I mean, kind of nitpicking and piggybacking at the same time from everybody, but I agree. Yale has no answers in the post for what Purdue presents, but styles make fights. If Yale can slow it down and they can hit some shots, and they do shoot quite, a good bit of 3-pointers. If they're hitting, I would look for a cover as well.
Yale, they in their, as far as average possession length is concerned, their defense is very good at that. Their defense is someone who makes it a little bit tough on you. But again, is this going to be a matchup with Purdue? That's the numbers what we're talking about here. I personally don't know if Yale can win this game from covering a number. That's where we can start having a conversation, what we're having here. Beho, finish us off here with Purdue Yale.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love this number at all. I didn't really know what to do with this game. At the end of the day, give me the 7'4" guy and Ivy covering this number. I'm not going to play it, but again, for our capper contest, I took Purdue and laid the points.
We continue along. We've got Delaware, Villanova, another big spread to discuss next. Let's start with you, Leo. Big number here for the 2 seed, Villanova in the South. Villanova minus 15.5 against Delaware.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at this one. I'm going to play the over in this matchup. Villanova can move the ball. They can shoot the ball. They can basically do whatever they want on offense. I think they're one of the most underrated offensive teams in the country. By underrated, I mean, I don't think people put them in like the top 2-3 offensive teams in the country. And Delaware can score the ball a little bit too. Delaware has kind of similar shooting percentages as Villanova does. Obviously, the strength of schedule is a little bit different. But I mean, I think that this is a fairly low number at 133. I think it should be higher to like 138. I think that would be more appropriate. So I'm actually leaning toward the over here.
Villanova with Gillespie back for the 5th year. When he's on the court, Eric, they only turn the ball over 14% of the time. The D1 average is 18.5% of the time. So that's something that's huge in tournament play like this, right? We see some of these teams that struggle. They get tight. All of a sudden, you get up by a few points, and then the teams start to press you. You turn the ball over. You sort of know with Villanova, when Gillespie's on the court, they got a good baseline of being a pretty efficient team and not giving others free passes. You got a Villanova team that's just not great, though, defending inside the 3. They don't really have any contributors on their team that are over 6'8". So I think for them, it'll all come down to when do they run into a big that's going to be good enough, and it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to match up with. It might be Tennessee. Tennessee actually had a couple bigs that played pretty well yesterday that were some matchup problems down low, right? Guy off the bench came in and scored like the first 10 points. And so it was pretty
You
funny.
talking about Fulkerson?
Yeah.
I think somebody on this show yesterday tried to talk Leo out of that and said Fulkerson was more athletic than anybody on Longwood's team. But what does he know?
That was pretty funny. So, Eric, let's talk Villanova here.
Yeah, the way to exploit Villanova is the size, and Delaware just doesn't have the size to do that. I like Jameer Nelson Jr. a lot as a player, but I just don't think Delaware has the weapons to exploit Villanova. The only time they played somebody that's in the tournament, they lost 93-71 to Davidson. I think Nova covers. I played them in the contest, but I didn't bet the game myself.
That is the Nova Delaware 215 in the South. Gentry, talk a little on the Nova Delaware game here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this game. Being a little closer than the spread would probably dictate. And because of that, I would agree with Leo. I think the over the 133.5 is definitely in reach if both of these teams are hitting shots. Now, that's ultimately the question. You're getting all these, locations, these bigger arenas than some teams have played in. Some teams are just not shooting well. It plays into it, but I do think the way these two teams play, they can get up and down the floor and put up the points to get the over.
Beho, Villanova, Delaware.
Yeah, I actually really like Villanova. And I did some digging yesterday, and again, the adjusted defense and offensive efficiencies for Nova are far better than Delaware's. Like it's not really close. I'm going to lay the 15 here and take Nova.
Nova, so big spreads here with Nova. Just kind of tough to get to Delaware. Get to my Trojans. Fight on USC. Big game today. They've got Miami coming up in around 3 o'clock Pacific time, noon or so. USC was around 1. It's kind of trickled up to 2, over under 139.5 here. Just from a particular matchup, right? I'm a USC fan, so in a game that's going to be like a tight kind of pick 'em either or matchup, I'm probably going to lean USC's way most times. I'm going to try to find handicaps and things that lead to the USC side. So here's the one thing that I think is interesting for this USC basketball team, because they're pretty good defensively, and when you break down their metrics, they're actually really good defensively inside the arc. And what's funny is they're actually a pretty good team defending the 3 defensively overall. But in conference play, I don't know if it was like an unlucky thing, because it's not as if they played decent teams outside of conference play also. So it wasn't as if like all of a sudden you're just playing much better teams. But in conference play, teams that weren't even good, they ended up giving up 39% from 3. Is that something that was like an outlier that will probably come back to the mean a little bit, and USC will probably give up more like 35% from 3? Or is this team just like a really bad rotating the 3 kind of team? It's funny, when you watch them, they're not. They've got good size, they've got good length. So it doesn't really make sense. That was one thing that I think that might be able to help them out. And you sort of think about the 2 teams that they're going to run into here with Miami and then with Auburn. Auburn's not a good 3-point shooting team. If USC could get by Miami, that may actually work out sort of well for them. Eric, when we kind of dug into this game and went back and forth, the real reason why I think USC can have an advantage here is the size. Miami's just not a very big team. USC is actually one of the biggest teams in the country when you talk about length, size, and what they can throw at you. So close game. The real negative for USC, their free throw shooting, they're abysmal. They are absolutely awful. One of the worst free throw shooting teams in the nation. But I just think they have a little bit too much for this Miami team. I'm not that high on the ACC, even though North Carolina looked pretty damn good yesterday, beating the shit out of Marquette. Gosh, that was impressive. Eric, I think you flip-flopped the last couple days back and forth. Where did you end up and sort of settle on this Miami-USC game?
You know what? This is the play. I almost locked in Miami plus the 2. I played them in the contest, but I didn't do it. Miami is 17th in adjusted offense. They have 4 players that average over 10. They run these 4x1 sets with a great spacing that I think is going to kind of struggle, because USC's never really played a team this year that runs this offensive set. They're 14-2 when hitting 48% or more of their field goals. But I'll be honest, the thing that knocked me out of this is Andy Enfield's just a covering machine. He's 10-0 ATS in the round of 64, 32, and 16, and 16-1 straight up. 16-1 ATS for his whole tournament coaching career. The only time they didn't cover is when they got boat raced last year against
Gonzaga.
So
yeah.
I didn't bet the game. I lean Miami. I played him in the betters contest. We're all in, but that's my thoughts.
USC, Miami, Beho, what are you doing in this game?
I'm rolling with you, buddy, all day long.
We're
Go
fighting
USC.
on. We're fighting on. Yeah, so that's the one thing that's really weird. I think for their defensive metrics, like USC's defensive efficiency is like 49. If that 3-point number, the average team gives up 33.3% from 3, which is what USC sort of gives up overall. In conference play, if they just gave up closer to average, they would be like a top 10 defensive team. It's really bizarre how that happened in that sample size. So kind of crazy. Do they is this something that's a real weakness for them, or was that just a weird thing? I think a couple of the games, Brian, when you and I were having conversations during their game, would be like, what's going on with USC? And I'm like, man, in the first half, Stanford was 5 of 8 from 3 with guys that aren't. What's great, Washington is 7 of 9 from 3. What the hell's going on? It was bizarre. And that's one of those things that, as a fan, maybe you realize and you watch, and maybe it does good for you, or maybe it does bad for you, right? Because you watch so much that you're paying attention to little things like that you may not even notice. Gentry, Trojans, Hurricanes. This is not the national championship in football. We're talking about the first round in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, well, it may as well be the national championship in football for all I know, because I have seen USC play one game all year. So I'm really deferring to you all and your knowledge about USC here. But, I have seen Miami play a little bit. And, I feel like this is a game where whoever can dictate the tempo is going to be your winner. And, what I've seen from Miami, even in games where they've been down a ton and almost came up, they were down by almost 30 to somebody and came back and lost by 2 in the second half. I can't remember who they were playing in that game, but the way they were playing, just like their hair was on fire, getting up and down the floor. If they can do something like that and really force tempo, then I like their chances, and I also like the over. And with me not knowing enough about USC here, I just took the over. I think if both teams are hitting shots, that over is very reachable. But, because I don't know enough about USC, I just kind of stayed away from the actual point spread.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tempo-wise, Miami's offense is very good, but where they seem to have their biggest strength, Miami, is actually kind of inside of the arc. They are a top 30 team shooting field goals inside the 3. And I think that's sort of where USC is at their best, defending inside the 3-point line. Leo, you and I have talked about USC some nights watching these games. What are you going to do in this USC-Miami game today?
I love USC here. One thing I want to look for. So in these 50-50 matchups, I tend to lean toward the underdog. You guys hear me say it on just about every show, but I don't think this is a 50-50 matchup. I think USC should be favored by 4 or 5 points. Something I'm looking for here is that USC has 2 difference makers. They have Boogie Ellis and they have Mobley. I know Miami has some players that are nice little fits, but in reality, USC should be able to take care of business here. I really, really like this spot. I think USC covers. They could win this one by double digits if they really want to. If Miami gets hot, could be tight, but I'm all over USC.
USC, good experience from last year, too, like he was mentioning. You've got Mobley, who was there last year. You've got Peterson, who was there last year. Max Ogwon-Polo, who was there last year. Guys like Isaiah White. And then you have someone like Boogie Ellis who comes in. You need a guard. Everybody needs someone on the perimeter in tournament play. You can have a bunch of bigs, but if you don't have a guard that you can trust to go get a shot, to hit a tough shot last night, why did UConn lose? Because the dude from A&M was nailing some crazy shots. They fouled him a couple times, but you got to have a tough shot maker on your team. They don't need to hit tough shots every game, but you just sort of have to have that option. At least USC has that too with Boogie on this team. A fun 7-10 matchup coming up little later on today, USC Miami. Let's get to Bama versus Notre Dame. Let's start with you in this one here, Biho. Bama -4 against Notre Dame. Over under in this game, 152.5.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I lean Bama -4 here solely because, again, Notre Dame just played in the play-in game. They had a double overtime game where they literally got a 4-leaf clover up their ass when it switched over to
they did.
St.
That's
Patrick's Day.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, literally as the clock struck midnight, all of a sudden everything went their way. It was insane. So Bama's more athletic. If Bama can run a little bit, I think they'll blow the doors off Notre Dame. But Notre Dame is capable of slowing the game down, and if they do that, Alabama's, they could be in trouble. 4 points, not a lot of points to lay here. I'll take Bama.
We've got a Alabama team that lost their last 3 games. They're number 94 in defensive efficiency, but they have wins over Gonzaga, Baylor, Tennessee, Arkansas, Houston, and LSU. All teams that are top 6 seeds in the tournament. What team are you going to find? That's what's so hard with this Alabama team. You have no clue which one is going to show up, Leo. They are 19-13 overall. They're 11-20-1 against the spread. They're atrocious against the spread. And in true Alabama fashion, they're 5-5 in their last 10, running into a Notre Dame team that had to play their way in. They're 23-10, 17-15 against the spread, 7-3 in their last 10. Where do you lean here, Bama, Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to follow the rule I've had all year. You take Alabama as an underdog, you fade them as a favorite. Don't get fancy now that it's tournament time. And you know what? I don't really hate this underdog either because you have Notre Dame that clearly had a horseshoe up their ass last game. They got extremely lucky. What?
4-leaf clover.
Four-leaf clover. I'm sorry. That's right. 4-leaf clover up their ass. So I'm rolling with Notre Dame plus 4.
Take all the worry out of your mind. Let my love open the door. Leo probably doesn't know that song either. Let my love open the door to your heart. Come on, Leo. Come on. Go ahead.
You're scaring the children.
Go ahead, Leo.
No, that's all I got. I got Notre Dame here plus 4. And honestly, if you want to dabble Notre Dame money line, it's not the worst bet.
Notre Dame for Leo in the Notre Dame Bama game. Gentry, where you going here? Notre Dame Bama.
Well, you mentioned North Carolina's impressive win, and I meant to bring it up when I was talking about Miami. I kind of feel like these ACC schools are playing with a little chip on their shoulder, where they've kind of been undervalued all year because everybody deems the ACC's down. And
they're kind of lucky.
Yeah,
all of North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Miami are kind of playing with like a second lease on life because they probably didn't deserve most of the year to be tournament teams. And they sort of now it doesn't matter. Right now it really doesn't matter all that shit that you did because you just got to win.
True. But you look at a team like Notre Dame and you sit there and go, any other year, the 2 seed from the ACC is not playing in the play-in game. They're automatically like, a 4 or 5 seed. So the fact that they're seated where they are kind of sucks. And I think, they get a matchup against an Alabama team that's just wildly inconsistent, like you talked about. I think this is a great spot for Notre Dame. Yeah, they had to go to double overtime, and they might get a little leg weary. So we'll see how that holds up. But I agree with Leo here. When Bama's favored, they tend to not play well. I'd take Notre Dame too.
I think I still wonder, like diving into Notre Dame, they got the win against Kentucky. If you take that win off of their page, they don't look very good. I mean, they don't have very many quality wins. We're talking just the ACC, North Carolina, Miami, North Carolina State, Louisville, Clemson. I'm not really sure what to think of this Notre Dame team. Eric, offensively, they're pretty good. I think they're top 30 in offensive efficiency. 3-point percentage, they shoot pretty well. They shoot over 37.5% from 3. So that's something where they could get hot. I wasn't really all that high on Notre Dame rolling in. I think I was leaning the other way in the play-in game. So I'm probably not, but Gentry is right. Like it's a great spot for anyone who is playing in to catch Alabama because they're as inconsistent as any team in this tournament. I don't have the strongest opinion in here. I just don't feel like I want to lay points with Alabama.
Yeah, I was really leaning toward taking Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But
I thought you were going to say Rutgers if Notre Dame was.
No, yeah. I was really close to taking Notre Dame here. Alabama, like we say every week, when they're a favorite, you fade them. When they're a dog, you take them. Bray on short, Mike Bray, the coach of Notre Dame on short rest. That gentleman's made me a lot of money. But the key stat that just kind of took me off of this is they allowed 13 offensive rebounds to Rutgers. Bama actually averages 14 offensive rebounds a game, which is 12th best in the country. Just because of that stat, I'm just completely off of it. I would lean Notre Dame, but I didn't play the game.
Does anybody else see this game actually being close? Like, I feel like this is going to be a double-digit win for either team. Like, I feel like it can go either way. Somebody's going to impose their will and blow this number out of the water, right?
And somebody just doesn't show up. That feels like Alabama's involved in those kind of games a lot, right? Where someone just like got their ass kicked and just no show there.
Yeah, but that's all product of how they play. They shoot 33s a game. I mean, if they're hitting, they're going to blow you out. If they're not hitting, it's the other way. So.
Yeah, I mean, 48% of their shots are 3. So I mean, if they're falling, they're good. If they're not, they're in trouble, like Gentry said.
let's take a look at Texas versus Virginia. Oh, Leo, I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead. Finish us up here with
Texas.
Bama Notre Dame.
No. Forget about Bama Notre Dame. Texas, baby. Horns up here.
Okay.
Don't overthink this one. Texas is the better guard play. Everybody's going to be all over Virginia Tech because of what they did in the ACC tournament. And what did we see yesterday? Exactly what I told you would happen with Iowa is going to happen with Virginia Tech today. Do not overthink this, ladies and gentlemen. I love this panel. I love all you guys. I respect all your opinions. If any of you are on Virginia Tech, do not listen to them today. Take Texas. This is your best bet of the day.
Texas versus Va Tech. Texas comes into this game 21-11, 12-20. Against the spread. They were a very highly projected team this year. Not a bad year for them, but probably not where they had hoped to be. Virginia Tech 23-12, 18-16-1 against the spread, 8-2. Va Tech comes into this game off their recent successes where they won 4 straight in the ACC tournament. Clemson, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Duke. So they beat 3 tournament teams along the way in those 3 final games. You've got a Texas spread that's going to be very, very tight here. What are you doing in this one, Gentry?
Well, it's very difficult to follow Leo after that. But fuck that. I'm taking Virginia Tech. The beating the teams they beat in the ACC and then the way they did it, and now they get to play on a relatively neutral court. I mean, one of the truer neutral games of this tournament where they're playing in Milwaukee. For Texas fans to really show out in Milwaukee, or I look for Virginia Tech fans to really show out either. But I think that plays to Virginia Tech's advantage because, if they get hot and they can withstand momentum or withhold their momentum, I would look for that kind of hot run they had in the ACC to keep going. Whereas Texas is, they've shown they have difficulty scoring like several Big 12 teams. So I'd take the hot hand here as opposed to taking Texas.
We got a real styles make fights kind of game here, Beho, where you've got Virginia Tech, who is 18th in offensive efficiency. Virginia Tech, who shoots, they're just a good offensive scoring team. They shoot a high clip from 3. I think they're 3rd in the country in 3-point percentage. They shoot 39.3%. So they're only one of a few teams that are over 39% from 3. But they're going to run into a Texas team that is one of the best defensive teams in the country. They're top 15 in adjusted defensive efficiency. They are very good when just defending in general. They're very good defending the 3. They're even better inside the 3-point arc. So I just don't know if it's the great matchup for a Virginia Tech team who's been rolling. They sort of caught a couple of those ACC teams that don't play a lot of defense, right? Think about the teams that they just beat. They're all teams that don't play a whole lot of defense. And I think that's sort of a template for the ACC this year. When you think of like Miami, North Carolina, Duke, the way they all play, I think in that style, like an up and down, back and forth, kind of like what Gentry was saying in the Miami USC game, if they're able to implement their style here and they're forcing Texas into that running up and down game, well, then I think Virginia Tech's got a shot. But I don't know. I think Texas Tech, just the way that I don't trust them maybe going all the way, but winning a couple games with a team that's got a little bit of experience, with a team that's sort of well coached and a team that has a good defense. I think those are like solid baselines for them.
I think this is going to come as a shock to some, but I'm agreeing with Leo here. Let's not overthink this. Texas, really good defense. They've played against better defenses all year. I don't think Virginia Tech is going to slow Texas's offense down, where I think Virginia Tech will have their offense slowed down. Give me Texas. I actually locked it in as a pick. I'm not even laying a point here.
Attaboy, Beho. You're learning, buddy.
There you
I'm
go.
so proud of you.
Finish us up with this game, Eric. Texas, Virginia Tech.
Don't get me wrong. I love this Va Tech team. I had them for the future to win the ACC. Yep. But, I like fading teams that are coming off a championship in the conference. You look at Texas, they're 13th in adjusted defensive efficiency, 14th best team in creating turnovers. They're only allowing about 60 points a game. And I said it before, I really think we're going to see these Big 12 offenses open up a lot of not playing the pack-it-in style defense. So I like Texas here. I bet them at a pick 'em.
Texas and Virginia Tech I'm also leaning on the Texas side here. I've actually got Texas because what I like about just sort of their spot, if Texas gets through this game, they play Purdue, and that's another instance where it's like offense versus defense, right? Just completely stylistically, I like the way that matchup fits for a Texas team that's going to make things really difficult for Purdue. So I actually think if Texas gets through here, they can get through a Purdue team just based off the matchup of that fight. And then think about where they are right now. Whoever is down there with Texas or Purdue, Kentucky's out of that area now. You've got St. Peter's and you've got Murray State. Like, you got to feel really confident about that bottom quarter bracket where you're sitting. So that is Texas Va Tech. As we move along to Illinois, Chattanooga, and Eric, I wanted to get to Chattanooga here. I really do, because I'm not all that sold on Illinois when the big man is not able to dominate. And I wonder with DeSouza, the Kansas transfer from Chattanooga, if he can give enough of a big body to slow down Illinois. But what's weird about this, you and I, we've talked about these games now all 3 or 4 different times over the last week. It's really weird because Chattanooga, you would think with the big body of DeSouza that they would be better defending in the paint and inside the 3, but they're not. So that's what's weird to me. Just a pure, like, if I'm looking at the numbers and the metrics, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. From a pure personnel standpoint, I wonder if DeSouza can kind of get up to task in this tournament to at least body up the big man enough to keep this game close. I've been wavering quite a bit on this game back and forth. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to lean right now. Tell us a little bit about this game and your handicap here.
Well, I mean, when you look at their schedule, Chattanooga has yet to face a Power 6 conference opponent. They do have that good 200 monster in Smith and DeSouza. Illinois, mainly Kofi, has struggled when he's faced a team that has an offensive presence when you look in the Big Ten. But, it just comes down to this. Illinois is 32 nationally in half-court offense. You just look at Chattanooga's defense. They struggle defending the 3. They struggle defending pick and roll, and they're 281st in defending the post. And that's all stuff Illinois likes to do. I look at it like Chattanooga's only chance is to really look to push the pace and get up and down the floor. I didn't bet the game, but in our contest, I did the over just because Chattanooga is going to struggle stopping at what Illinois likes to do, and Chattanooga is going to look to push the pace to make Illinois uncomfortable.
Yeah. Tell me if you're surprised by this, Gentry. Illinois is a much better team when Kofi's on the court. Crazy, huh? When he gets in foul trouble or when he's not playing, they're obviously a very beatable team based on a lot of the metrics. I think that's what you want to do when you're playing them. You want to try to maybe get him in foul trouble early. You want to try to draw him out, maybe make him try to defend smaller, like Eric was saying, maybe speed the game up here. Do you think Chattanooga has a shot in this game?
Well, I felt like the spread was very fair. And generally when I see spreads that I agree with, I start looking towards the over or the under, right? And so here I've taken the over for the contest because I feel like, Chattanooga is good enough to hang around and bust that spread, but I can't take them. What you're talking about, Cockburn, he's, obviously they're better when an first-team All-American's on the floor.
Right,
but,
yeah.
It's D'Souza, if he can somehow attack him,
right? Just enough. Like, just make him play deep. You know what? I know what you're saying, right? Because I think a lot of the times when we have these great players, one of the best ways to defend them is just to sort of make them defend, right? Like, make them have to work a little bit on the other side, kind of tire them out. Like, just make sure that they're not able to offensively do whatever they want at their tempo and dominate the game,
Yeah. If you can just somehow make, like you just said, make him work, it will lead to problems. It'll lead to foul trouble. It'll tire him out by the end of the game, whatever the case may be. And that's why I kind of like what Chattanooga brings to the table, but I don't like them enough to just take them. So, Illinois, their guard play is really what's going to decide the game, not Coburn. If their guards are hitting shots, I think that's the difference maker.
What about you, Leo, in this game? You going Kofi mania here?
Man, it's a really tough game for me. Honestly, the smart move is just to pass this game. If we're being completely honest, for the Capra tournament, I'm sorry, you look confused, little one. The smart move is to pass this game, dude. I love the burning cock, but in reality, Chattanooga's got a big dude that can kind of bump with the guy down low. And Illinois has not been that good. Illinois has not been that good lately, dude. Hold on, Piho. Are you on Illinois? Is that why you're getting cranky with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what makes you believe that Illinois can blow anybody out? They've been that good lately.
It goes back to what you said about the Texas game. Let's not overthink this, guys. If DeSalza was any good, excuse me, he'd still be at Kansas. If he could defend a guy like Cockburn, Burning Cock, whatever, he'd still be at Kansas. He's not. He's at Chattanooga, guys. He's at Chattanooga for a reason. How many times do you see a guy go from Kansas to a place like Chattanooga? Very rarely.
I will say that I think your assessment I would agree with on a night in, night out basis, right? Like, I think there might be some issues from like a maturity standpoint, from like can this guy play at that level night in, night out? Probably not. I don't think so. But with some of these guys, or with some of these games and matchups, you ask for one game. Can he do it for one game or about 20 minutes, right? That's the only thing I ask. And I wonder, and you may be right. He just may not be that type.
And I get that. I get that.
Hold on,
this
I'm
is
sorry.
a tournament.
Let me just
It's a
finish
one-game thing. But I guess where I'm at is I guess I would rather put my money on the more likely situation than needing a miracle. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, DeSalza may come out, play as – I mean, look what St. Peter's did yesterday. It was a Christmas miracle for them, right? They had two guys scored crazy points, whatever. Like, it can happen on a one-night basis. You play this game 10 times, Illinois covers probably 8 to 9 of them. So I'm going to take that and say that's probably what's going to happen. If it doesn't, I take the L. But, like, I think we're all overthinking here with this Chattanooga team.
You know what? I'm sorry, Gino. Let me just finish up real quick. Biho's attitude sucking that much is enough to convince me to take Chattanooga plus the 8. Thanks, buddy.
There you go.
Okay, so everyone's talked on this game, right? Illinois, Chattanooga. As we continue along, we've got another big spread here. Number 2 seed. We've got Duke versus Cal State Fullerton. Cal State Fullerton right up the road from me. Shout out Justin Turner. Believe played some baseball over there. Got a fantastic baseball program and tradition. Cal State Fullerton had a fun game against Long Beach State in the final of their conference tournament too. It was real exciting, kind of back and forth game. I'm literally 5 minutes away from Long Beach State over here too. So Duke, big favorite. Coach K, I mean, I've seen Coach K, Biho popping up on these commercials and stuff now. You know, it's really funny. I don't think Fullerton will be the team to beat them, but I just do not like this team and their vibe at all right now heading into this tournament. Like, I don't think they get out of this first weekend, but I feel like they're probably good enough to beat Fullerton, and they're probably good enough to cover. They score a ton of points. Like, this is a beat up on a more inferior opponent Duke kind of game, but I still feel weird about them moving forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with you here. I think we're all going to be looking to fade Duke sooner than later, but this ain't the play here. I mean, Fullerton's just not good. As you said, they've got an outstanding baseball program. Unfortunately for them today, it's a basketball game, and they play Duke. And, you know, Duke is not playing good. I think they have to make a statement today, though. Like, I want Duke to come out and just pound this inferior opponent and just say, look, we're here, and, you know, we're going to try to make a run. I'll fade them next round probably, but I'm taking Duke. I'm laying 18.5 today.
Eric, what is concerning about, you know, the way Duke came into the season, the end of the year, it's not that they had a couple losses, right? We've seen a lot of good teams that lose towards the end. They got the shit kicked out of them 2 out of their last 4 games. Like, absolutely blown out by North Carolina in their final home game for Coach K, when there's this energy that was probably lifting them up. It went the other way. I think this is becoming like too big for this team. It's like it's bigger than them. Like, they don't even just get to relax and play basketball right now, because there's this whole like, this is Coach K's last year thing. We can't be the team that screwed this up thing, can we? Oh no, what are we gonna do here? So, I mean, does Fullerton have a shot to cover this game? Like, what's your approach with this particular game, Eric?
I mean, Duke has some Mondo defensive issues.
Yeah.
They're young, one of the younger teams in the tournament. And I really feel like, you just said that the pressure of this being Coach K's last run is eventually going to catch up with them. It's just that Cal State Fullerton is 216th in effective field goal percentage. I just don't think they're going to be able to score enough. They allow 37% of threes hit against them. And I really think Duke is just has too much firepower. I think they cover the number. I played it in the contest. I didn't bet it, but I do think Duke loses straight up next round.
Beho, Duke, Fullerton. Or we just talked about Duke. You said you're going to be trying to say Duke in a couple. Leo and Gentry still got to talk on this game. Leo, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I don't see a real way for Cal State Fullerton to keep this thing close. I mean, I don't like Duke either, but this is a really nice get-right spot for Duke. I think Duke comes out. They're going to hammer them. I'm actually happy to lay the 18.5. I feel pretty good about it.
Gentry, close us up here with the number 2 seed Duke in the West region.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the North Carolina game. That game was kind of an anomaly. I mean, tickets were selling for astronomical numbers for Cameron. You had students that had camped out for 3 weeks trying to get into that game. It's a regular season game, and I get it. It's Coach K's last stand, but it's like you had all those old players back in the arena. The pressure was crazy, right? Even though there really wasn't any pressure, the pressure was crazy to try to pull that off. And it's one of a kind. Whereas tournament pressure is different, right? Because you lose, you go home. But it's not like a send-off, right? This is, I don't know if I like Duke, much further than, their 2 games in South Carolina. But I definitely like them here. I don't think you can take Cal State Fullerton going all the way across the country.
Fullerton 21-10, 16-11-2 against the spread. Duke 28-6, but just 17-15-2 ATS. 6 more games on our Friday slate. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us today. Before we get into these final games, we just want to remind you about oldsmokeclothing.com and the collaboration we have. oldsmokeclothing.com/BTV. You can take a look at the great shirt we have over there. I don't bet, I win. It's $32, and with the promo code GINO, it's not going to cost you any more than that. It will not cost you anything for shipping. You'll get free shipping. You want to show some support for some of us, that would be the best way to do so. We always appreciate you hanging out with us, and we always want to keep bringing you free content. That's what's great. On my podcast, That's What G Said, it took me a couple years to get to the point where after working through, I never have to charge anyone for anything ever. I'm always able to provide free content because I was able to work with advertisers and sponsors, and we're able to have relationships like this with a place like Old Smoke. Every time you guys purchase a shirt, it helps us over at BTV. It's a really big help for us. So thank you. Appreciate all of the folks out there that send it on over and buy those t-shirts for us. Has Beho cried about Kentucky yet? I came in late. Josh?
No, I'm over it, Josh.
I was going to say, dude, I got to be honest. I was talking with Beho last night right after. He was fine. He was fine.
Guys, this is a great spot. Josh, if you want to listen to it, head on over to the Better Than Vegas podcast. Check out Married to the Game, where you don't just get Beho crying, you also get his wife, who was very upset. Fantastic show. Make sure you guys go check out the Better Than Vegas podcast.
Great stuff, Josh. So listen to that. You'll love that if you like hearing Beho get upset. But I like when the fans sort of talk it out, right? That's a great, it's a great it's like therapy, Beho, right? When you record a podcast like that afterwards.
Like I said, man, I think that the loss didn't even bother me. Like, I don't even know if I'm just numb to it because it was so shocking.
You less than if it were in the national championship by 1, right?
Yeah,
because
and that's what I said last night. But again,
we're losing
the
the
things that piss me off is like Louisville's head football coach, who's given up 100 points in the last 2 games to Kentucky, wants to chime in and talk
shit. It's not the loss. Dude, I know what you mean, because I'm a local fan the same way. Seeing everybody else rejoice in your loss so much and care more about that than their team winning or how their team.
It just shows how relevant Kentucky is and how irrelevant their team is.
It is. It is funny. Oh, let's see this big man today. Come over here. Let's talk LSU, Iowa State, and let's show the number here. for Eric. We got this guy is ready to rock and roll today.
Milo.
He's got his Trojan gear all on.
What's up, little man?
Hey, fight on. Fight on. Yeah, we're ready. Okay, buddy, you gonna be good for Nanu and Grandma, okay? Okay. He's all decked out. Good. Stephanie knows that today is the day to dress him in the Trojan gear. Good job, babe.
Yeah.
Good job, babe. Okay.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, she says no Texas Tech stuff here too. She's from Texas Tech, so we let's talk about this one. Gentry, let's go LSU Iowa State -4 LSU side.
Well, for the contest, I've got LSU, and I don't really know why, because I feel like a bomb might go off in that stadium because these two, or this arena, because these two teams, neither of them deserve to be in this tournament based on form. I don't really understand it, especially Iowa State. That was a team that I didn't even think would sniff getting in. I mean, yeah, they had 20-plus wins, but they're down the stretch record 4-6 and losing by an average of 4 points a game. It's kind of like, what on earth?
Yeah.
With that said, that's pretty much the reason I took LSU. It's not because I like LSU. I just think Iowa State's that bad.
Yeah, I think with LSU now they fired their coach, right? Like
Yeah.
How weird is this to have an NCAA team playing right now with a fired coach? But what I think is funny is that in football, if this were to happen, I'd always bet that team the week they fired their coach. Always. Like an instant fired coach bump, like right away.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's weird with this one because you wonder what the kids are, right? Like it wasn't like they fired him because he had an incident with a kid. It was all the stuff that was going on. You wonder if this team likes him and maybe they're like, what the hell? Our coach isn't there. Or do they kind of go the other way and they use it as this rallying cry, right? Hey, nobody thinks we're going to do anything. Our coach isn't around. And look at the spot that they're in. They play an Iowa State team that's barely been able to get into the 40s as of late. That has been really putrid offensively. And then if they're able to get through there, they might play a wounded Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. So it's not a bad spot for LSU. I don't think they're going to continue on, deep into this tournament. I've got them winning 2 games here. I don't know if I want to lay. I mean, I'm not from a contest point. I'm probably on the LSU side. I'm not going to go out and bet LSU and lay 4 or 5 points with them, Eric. I think you're on the Iowa State side, though. Tell us a little bit about the handicap there you've got.
Yeah, I locked them in at +4.5. Also locked them in at +160. Look, Wade did some shady stuff off the court. I'm not arguing that, but I will say this team does foul a lot, and I really think he was good in game with his defensive adjustment and his substitution pattern. He's gone, but also let's not forget Bill Armstrong's gone as well, and he was a key part of that coaching staff. Now the pressure's on Kevin Nickelberry, who's going to be taking it over, and you look at his tenure at Howard and Hampton, not that hot. I mean, this guy really struggles with in-game adjustments and everything. And then in terms of like fired up because they fired their coach, in college basketball with how it is now, this is a young team. These kids are always already thinking about where am I transferring to next year? What's my next move? Because they're trying to position themselves to get a contract overseas or get a shot in the G League or the NBA. I just feel there's too much stuff off the court for LSU. They foul a lot.
I agree in that. But you don't think like you and me right now, we're 19 years old. We're not caring about winning this game. We're not fired up that we're here with it. Like, I know what you're saying, but I think they take it But
I mean, like teams like that, like who's the veteran leader on the team that's going to get me as an 18, 19-year-old to think about that?
If you don't give a shit about winning this kind of a game, I don't think that you make it to this point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you get to a D1 school if you're someone who's just like, I don't give a shit. Now,
well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
No, I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. But like, I know what you're saying. But I just don't think, like, I don't think that it's. I don't have a reason to. Here's a weird way of putting it. If it were maybe a different team versus an Iowa, right? If we were talking about maybe a more if they were facing a South Dakota State, if they were facing a mid-major team that was like a good veteran mid-major team, I just don't know if I was the team to exploit that from them. this is one of the harder ones that I have because, like I said, I hate both of these teams. Like, I really wanted to fade both of these teams badly, but it feels like such a fantastic draw. Like, win or lose for LSU, they could get beat here, but damn, would you rather be anywhere else in the bracket as a 6 playing this Iowa State team and then with the possibility of like a banged up Johnny Davis afterwards? Not bad. So, Eric, do you have in this part of the bracket, you have Wisconsin going on? We're going to talk about Wisconsin in just a second. You have them going on too, and you have Iowa State losing to Wisconsin there?
In the bracket, I filled out yes, but I got some information last night, and I bet on Colgate to make it to the Sweet 16.
Okay, we're going to get to that in just a second there. LSU, Iowa State, Gentry. Anyone else talk on this game?
I haven't.
Okay.
This is actually my play of the day, LSU -4. Eric asked where the veteran leadership's going to come. It's going to come from the point guard, Pinson, the senior. He's there. He wants to go out. He's been playing well for them since he's come back from injury. Iowa State is just god awful. What have Leo has pointed out a couple times, like I think their last 2 or 3 games, they've not even broke 50 in a couple of them. Like 50? LSU can score.
They didn't get the 40 in one of them.
You want them to get the 40? They didn't get the 42 2 of the last 3. This team is fucking terrible. We know you got LSU. Let me go off for a second. Are people delusional? To everybody that wants to take Iowa State, have you all lost your minds here? Okay, I know LSU isn't all that great. This 6 seed is absolutely absurd. This Iowa State team is fucking atrocious. You could take these 5 right here on this panel, and I'll tell you what, we could have a real battle with Iowa State where the final score probably be like 41-39. We'd probably end up losing, but I mean, it'd be within 2. This team is freaking terrible. They suck.
And Leo, I'm on your side. I love you. But if you call Eric delusional one more time, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm just calling you.
Delusional?
Eric took Iowa State.
I took Iowa State.
Oh, man.
So if you call
it's pretty funny too, because Eric's the one that. Do you know what's really funny about that? I made the speech yesterday that like in Eric we trust.
I know, and I know Eric knows
he was
that.
on Texas though.
All I'm saying is that when we win things, sometimes we got to be careful about saying I would never pick Iowa State, something like that, because Eric is definitely not delusional. That's all.
Eric,
I can see Eric
right?
out there, and the wheels spinning in his head like, I'm gonna kick your ass, Leo. I'm gonna kick your ass, Leo. So
no, what he's gonna do is he's gonna laugh at all of us when Iowa State wins.
No, that's why Eric kind of keeps it quiet, because most of the time the handicap, it'll play out, right? And if it's wrong, he'll just be like, yeah, I was wrong, no problem. But I always love that. LSU, Iowa State, Gentry. You were kind of talking a little bit about this too. It's just you're leaning on the SEC LSU side here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I talked about him a little bit. This is the Masons convention has gathered in Milwaukee for this game. Of all these nice ACC schools running up and down the floor, now you get this dreck at the end of it. And, there's going to be some serious dents in the backboard. They're going to have to repair that after the game. It's not going to be fun to watch. It's going to be very unpleasant. If you don't like Big Ten basketball, you're really not going to like this, because this could be catastrophically bad for college basketball.
Eric, I know you're delusional, but let's talk about Wright State and Arizona. What do you think about this game? It's a 20-point spread. Total of this game, like 156.5 or so.
Zona plays at the 8th quickest rate. They really like to get up and down the floor. Wright State was able to expose Bryant's defensive issues. Wright State likes to get to the free throw line. Zona doesn't foul that much. I think Zona is just going to run up and down the floor. I like them, even though it's a big number. I played it in the contest and bet the game, though.
Yeah, they feel like one of the type of teams that can really beat up on some of the inferior opponents with the style that they play, probably a little bit more free-flowing without Krisa. And Biho, you kind of hit on that. You think this team is actually a little bit better without him.
Yeah, I'm gonna die on that hill, Gino.
I agree with you.
I think they're a better team without Krisa. I will say it is tough not to take Wright State here at the 21 after they just shut down James Harden in the playing game. But I'm gonna go with Arizona, and I'm gonna lay the 21.
Arizona.
You didn't hear me.
I know.
Not paying attention.
Arizona is actually a very good offensive team, one of the best offensive in the country, number 5 in offensive efficiency. They shoot 57.5% from 2, and then they defend inside the arc. Incredible. They only give up under 42% of their field goal percentage. Leo, any opinion in this big number with Arizona?
Probably should be Arizona. I mean, probably. But I mean, I don't want any part of this game. I'm going to pass. Probably
Not
the
even
best
after
bet
Wright
here is
State shut
probably
down James Harden.
Listen, shut up. Okay.
Gentry, you weren't around. He compared Peter Kiss to James Harden.
Also, by the way, I heard everything
Bryant,
you're saying.
dude.
Yeah,
I
no, I
was
got it.
ignoring you. I was hoping that take would die.
No, that take's never died, dude.
No.
It's literally, I tell you what, whenever I get sad thinking about Kentucky's loss, I think about you comparing Peter Kiss to James Harden, and I just laugh even harder.
Oh, that's great.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can make you feel better. I'm probably going to pass on this game for contest sake. I'm probably going to take the over just because I think both teams can kind of sort of score, but I'm worried about Wright State scoring. Just pass this game, guys. Don't be a degenerate.
Pasadena for Leo. How about for you, Gentry?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the spread. It's not that I feel like Wright State's really going to make a big game of it. I just think they could backdoor cover you if Arizona gets up big early and decides to try to cruise. It kind of sets up for Wright State to get the number. But, I actually took the under the 156.5 because I just kind of feel like, if Arizona does get up big early, it might break the will of Wright State, and there just might not be a lot of scoring in the second half. So I took the under for the game.
Let's jump into our final 4 games of the afternoon. We've got Houston versus UAB. I will start here with this one because I like UAB in this spot. I think UAB is going to be in a situation where they may have the best player on the court. Jordan Walker averages over 20 points per game. He shoots over 40% from 3, and this team overall shoots 40% from 3 when he's on the court. You dig into Houston and what they've done so far this year. Houston has like no quality wins. Honestly, they haven't beat anybody. When you dove into their quad ones and a lot of their advanced metrics, it's really funny how their efficiency metrics are so good because they've been doing it against like super inferior opponents throughout most of the year. I think it's been a fantastic job from their coaching staff to get them to this point. But I'm fading Houston. I've been waiting to sort of fade Houston for a while. They're an 8.5 point favorite here against UAB over under 136.5. Let's get to you on this one, Beho. Houston, UAB.
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side of this, Gino. Their adjusted offense and defense are very high ranked. I know maybe their competition hasn't been all the best, but I don't know, man. I just they played really good against Memphis in the finals, and UAB relies on one guy. If that guy doesn't go off, they're going to get blown off the court, and it's just one of those things. They haven't really played anybody either. I'm not betting this game for the contest. I took Houston.
This is one, Eric, a team that just like from a template, 10th in adjusted offensive efficiency, 11th in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're like a really well-balanced team and one that fits a profile of an NCAA champion team, but I just don't know if they're quite good enough with some of the pieces they're missing. What do you think about Houston in this spot?
I like UAB here. I like them in at plus 8.5 and plus 327. Much is made about Houston's defense. When you look at UAB, they're 7th in steals per game, and Quinn Jackson is 3rd in the nation in steals per game. And they hold teams to about 46% field goal percentage shooting against. So they're pretty good defensively. I know everyone's going to be make a big deal about how good Houston is rebounding the ball and how they get 38% of their offensive rebounds. But let's not forget UAB has a 7-footer in Jamison who's good on defensive rebounding. I think he's going to be able to kind of counterbot, like not let Houston take advantage on the glass. Houston's going to be without 2 of its best players. They really lack depth. And the key stat to me is this: Houston allows people are shooting 33% on wide open threes. That's no one's within 4 feet of you. UAB shoots 39% from three. So they're going to get open looks. I think they're going to be falling. I love Jelly Walker. I locked him in at plus 8.5 and plus 327 to straight up win.
Gentry in the 12 versus 4. Yeah, we've got the this is the 13-4, right? Versus no, this is the 12-5 in the South. So the winner of this Houston UAB will play the winner of Illinois Chattanooga. Houston opened up at 9. It's in the sort of 8-ish range. What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I've actually got UAB as well. But UAB, I've kind of been on them all season. If you kind of follow the ESPN polls and things like that, they do a mid-major ranking, and UAB's been pretty much right near the top of that all season. And they've pretty much held their own. I mean, they didn't win the conference regular season, but they did win the conference tournament, obviously, to get in. And, you know, I feel like they're kind of clicking at the right time, drawing a Houston team that might be lacking depth, like Eric talked about. You know, Houston, I've been like you, wanting to bet against them kind of all season ever since, you know, their second star kind of went down. But, you know, they turn around and go 9-1 in their last 10. And it's kind of like, well, okay, do you really want to bet against them? But I think now that you're in a win or go home setting where you're playing a team that had to win to get in UAB, you know, I feel like the pressure piled up a bit more on Houston than it was, say, in their conference tournament where they knew they were already in the NCAA tournament. And you might just see kind of like not a Kentucky-esque performance, but, you know, it might be a game where their shots aren't falling, might get in foul trouble, and it might just come out of their game. Yeah.
I could see that happening too in this Houston UAB game. Do we got Leo back here? Houston UAB, Leo.
How am I sounding?
Sound good, buddy. Sound great.
Beautiful. UAB. Eric, did you take UAB?
I did.
And Eric, we trust, baby. Everything Eric said, I back it up. Give me UAB plus 8.5 and on the money line, baby.
Let's get to Michigan State versus Davidson. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to have to do this to you here. It's funny. We did it to each other, though. USC and Michigan State. I think we're probably both leaning in the opposite direction. I'm going to go on with Davidson here. I think the committee put this game together because they wanted to see Izzo versus Coach K in round 2. So they set up the 7-2 there. But I think Davidson's going to look and say, hey, we've got one of the best offenses in the country. We are 11th in adjusted offensive efficiency. We shoot over 38.5% from three. We're one of the top 10 shooting three-point teams in the country. We are very, very good offensively. Davidson deals with the Michigan State team that is a solid offensive team. They shoot the three okay, Eric. The problem that I have with them is I just don't know what they do great. They don't really have a star. They move the ball around. They spread the ball around a little bit, but they're 6-9 in their last 15. And I think just as the season started to get a little bit more impactful, more important, the game started to matter a little bit more, that they kind of got punched and didn't punch back as much. So I'm on the Davidson side, and I think I've got Davidson beating Duke because I think that matchup is great for them. I think they can score on them quite a bit. Eric, tell us about Michigan State Davidson.
Well, as soon as I got the text message this morning from one of my little birdies, Tyson Walker, the starting guard from Michigan State, is sprained ankles okay, so he's going to be giving it a go, which is huge for them because State likes to close the game with Walker and Hogard and Christie with 3 guards on the court. Offense just flows better with Walker. He's been the guy with the ball in his hands in the clutch. You look at Forrest Lawyer. Lawyer was the captain at Michigan State last year. He's been great at Davidson this year, averaging 16.4 points, shooting the ball at 45% from the 3. But he struggled in Big Ten play because he just wasn't able to create separation. I know what you said about Davidson, 10th offensively in offense efficiently, great motion offense, which creates space. They have 4 guys that shoot over 40% from 3. But Michigan State is number 1 in the Big Ten defending the 3. They have an advantage in size in the rebounding category. And Michigan State's kryptonite is turnovers. And Davidson doesn't cause that many turnovers. As soon as I got the Walker news, I locked in Michigan State at a pick 'em.
Let's get you to you, Beho. Davidson versus Michigan State.
What do we say, Leo? In Eric, we trust?
And Eric, we trust, baby.
And Eric, we trust. I'm all over Michigan State here for the exact reasons he gave. He's nailed this one. Go Izzo.
Leo, where are you going in here? Davidson versus Michigan State.
Now, Biho, are you sure that you want to go with Michigan State here? Are you sure, buddy? Because you know what? I did this yesterday, and I was able to give away some money because this is what we do at BTV. And I'm not going to tell anybody that bets on Michigan State is actually delusional here.
You picked the winner yesterday. It's a miracle.
There we go.
I picked the winner, okay? Hey, listen, only one of us is guaranteed to go through, all right, buddy? But listen, this is what we're doing today. Today, we are going with Davidson as the public prop. All you guys got to do, retweet this show right here, okay? You're going to have a chance to win $250 in Nitro betting account. It's free $250 to bet the rest of the tournament because that's what BTV does. All we do is give money away. I'm going against
Yeek.
What? There you go.
There you go. Now you're better.
Better?
Do you have some kind of electronic by your mic?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like there's like an interference that picks up.
Static.
It was sort of happening to my mic last night when I was trying to edit some stuff, and it's weird. I was able to kind of figure it out, but there must be
Was it
some.
my phone?
No, I wondered. There must be like some switch or something that you're like on something that gets hit because it is weird. You'll be totally fine for a while, and then boom, like one thing will happen, and you'll start getting like.
And now you're fine again.
I'm fine now.
Am I fine right now?
Yep, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Picking Davidson. Everybody that retweets this, you got a chance to win $250.
That makes it easy. Boom. How about that? Who wants to win $250 right now with the tournament going on? A little extra action. 2 more games to discuss. Eric, you were telling us that your opinion may have flipped a little bit on this Wisconsin Colgate game. Talk to us about this game.
The key to Wisconsin, because they're such an isolation-heavy offense, and I really thought it was going to benefit them losing early in the Big Ten tournament, so Johnny Davis could get hurt. That's why I had Wisconsin going through. The person that sent me a message this morning, he told me that Davis still isn't 100%. I understand, like, this isn't going to be in Milwaukee at Pfizer. Everyone there, a full day of drinking, last game of the day, but with Davis not being 100%, I switched my pick over to Colgate. This is a team that has been there before. I really think they're going to learn from losing to Arkansas last year. Should have won. You look at them, they're a great three-point shooting team. They're the second best three-point shooting team in the whole tournament and in the country, but also they're second best in catch and shoot threes. So the way they move the ball, I think they're going to get overlooks. I got them to straight up win and plus the 7.5.
What are you doing in this game, Beho, Johnny Davis, or are you heading to brush your teeth with Colgate, who
Well, it's funny you say that, Gino, because Colgate's not even the best toothpaste brand. So they're not the best in this game either. Wisconsin, I'm taking Wisconsin. I'm laying 8. Johnny Davis, he may not be 100% healthy, but I don't think he needs to be for Wisconsin to get through this game. They're always a very tough out in the NCAA tournament. So I'm rolling with the Badgers.
Leo, there are 2 teams in the country that shoot over 40% from 3. One of them lost yesterday with the South Dakota State, kind of the hot team that everybody was picking in that upset game. Second team that shoots over 40% from 3 is Colgate. They are number 2 in the country in 3-point percentage here. Do you think they've got a shot against Scotty?
Yeah, I really think that they do. I don't like playing teams that just have one really good player. And I've felt like this all year with Wisconsin. They have one really good player. Wisconsin's good defensively. They should be able to shut down Colgate. But if Johnny Davis happens to have just a mediocre game and Colgate hits a couple of shots, they're going to be in this thing late. I'm taking Colgate with the 7.5 here.
Colgate 7.5 for Leo. Gentry, finish this up with Colgate, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'll take the poor man's crest all day. Okay. It's with Johnny Davis' situation being what it is. I even with Johnny Davis, the way Wisconsin plays doesn't scream we're going to blow anybody out. Anyway.
No.
And, you get a team that can shoot a bit, if like Leo said, like Eric said, if they hit a couple timely shots, you got a game right around the spread or closer. So, I feel like it's a tough play because it's in Milwaukee. But other than that, if it was anywhere else, I'd say it definitely say Colgate.
One more game. See, and I kind of agree with you in that, Gentry, in that they're not overwhelming. Wisconsin, they're really high up on the luck metrics also because their games are close.
Yeah.
And you have like the best player on the court. The games are close. You don't turn the ball over a lot. It's hard to sustain that over and over and over again. There's just going to be one or two games where it's like that guy doesn't play at that level and you're in trouble.
Especially when he's hurt.
Yeah, especially when he's hurt. So that's key. They weren't very high in like KenPom metrics either or rankings. They don't turn the ball over a whole lot. That could be something that's a major positive for them. 24-7, 17-14 against the spread as we move into our final game for Friday, TCU Seton Hall, which is basically a pick'em. This is an ugly game. This game feels like it's going to be a rock fight, Eric. I probably want to go under in here because these are two teams that feel like they're just going to punch each other in the mouth, and none of these teams do anything all that sexy.
I look at this game like this. We really don't know what's going on with Bryce Aiken, the guy from Seton Hall. He was on the court yesterday, didn't participate in any of the walkthroughs. He was just kind of shooting up some threes. So they're saying he's a game time decision. I don't think he's going to go. You look at this, Seton Hall likes to run isolation. TCU was top 30 in the country defending isolation on defense. They're the second best offensive rebounding team in all of college basketball. And I don't know, maybe it's my Big 12 bias coming out, but I just feel that the Big 12 was such a rock fight. You're going to see the floor opened up because these teams play defense differently. Give me the team that has a better defense against what the offense likes to do and a team that's better crashing the glass. I locked in TCU here +1.
Yeah, I think I kind of wavered a little bit. I started out on the Seton Hall side, and I think I ended up just kind of going back to TCU, which is funny because like TCU doesn't really fit the template of a team that I would want to play. They don't shoot great from three. They're a terrible free throw shooting team also. But I just think they're going to be a little bit too tough for Seton Hall here. Beho, what are you doing in this game?
First off, I take offense to you saying there's nothing sexy about this game. Anytime you get an animal that shoots blood out of its eyes, it's very sexy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm on TCU here. Seton Hall really pissed me off last game. I took them and they lost to UConn, so they're kind of on the outs. And Eric's explained it about the Big 12. I really like that angle. I'm playing the same thing today. TCU one pick.
Leo, Seton Hall, TCU.
I've liked Seton Hall this whole time, but I got to be honest. I think Eric just kind of convinced me to take TCU here. God damn it.
Those frogs, they can get a little bit horny, Gentry, can't they?
Oh yeah, they are horny toads, man. They're, of all the teams that were kind of bubble-esque that I wasn't really sure if they were going to get in or not come Selection Sunday. This is the one that got in that I'm glad they got in. I think when you get them away from having to play Kansas and Baylor, they're actually pretty good. They get up and down the floor. They kind of can force tempo on teams if they want. They can slug it out with you if they have to. And I feel like that is not something you can say about Seton Hall. Seton Hall's got to play their way or they're in trouble. And, I said it earlier about tempo. If TCU can get out and do what they want to do, I think they run away in this game.
Fellas, we've made it through the first 2 days of the tournament. It has been a blast talking about all of these games with you. When we reconvene tomorrow morning, they're going to be cut in half. We're going to have 8 games to discuss. And then on Sunday, it'll be the same thing. We'll have 8 more to discuss on Sunday morning. Tomorrow, we will be here with you bright and early, 10 a.m. Eastern time, 7 a.m. Pacific time for Cutting Nets. Eric, good luck today. Have fun out there, buddy. Take care. Enjoy it. Have a few drinks. Leo, good luck with all your plays. Gentry, Beho, kick back. Enjoy Friday, day 2 of the tournament. Folks, we'll be back here with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Don't forget, later on today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, Mohawk Mania. Beho, myself, Blackjack, Robert Reed will be getting you all set up for the early pick 5 from Mohawk. Finished up my handicapping a little earlier, Beho. So looking forward to talking some Pick 5 with you later on tonight. Flip those notifications on for BTV Bet.